So we'll go ahead and get started. Great to see everybody here. My name is Nick Wolda, and I am the president of Visit the Woodlands, which is our convention and visitor bureau here. So we are charged with the responsibility of bringing people to the Woodlands to enjoy this great community that we have here and all the great amenities that we have as well. I do have today in our audience and on a panel here in just a little bit, one of our elected officials, one of my bosses, Linda Nelson. Linda, thank you for being here today, and you're going to hear a lot from her at 11:30 on a great panel that she has as well. So can everybody hear me okay? Good. How many people have been here? This is the first time to the Woodlands. Just curious. All right, very good. Glad to have all of you here today, and hopefully had safe journeys. Obviously had safe journeys here and safe journeys on your way back, and look forward for you to come back again. So today we have on this next session, the session, if you have your program there in front of you, is called Micro-Credentialing and Certifications. So honest answer here, honest show of hands. Who knows what micro-credentialing is? Oh, that's awesome. I don't think I saw any hands. Well, I am with you because I had to look up the topic. When Brian called me, I said, what in the heck is micro-credentialing? Now, is that something I should know about? And he said, well, yeah, you should. And so I did a crash course on that. I know that one of our panelists, Linda Head, Linda Nelson is right there. Linda Head is right here, and they're good friends, by the way. And y'all are both wearing blue today. Lovely. And Tamala, just met earlier today. She knew about micro-credentialing, so she's going to be able to help fill us in. But I guess we're going to do something a little different, a little backwards. It's questions after the panelists. But does anybody have a particular burning question about micro-credentialing that we can make sure we cover beforehand? Brian's got a microphone, so if there is anybody that is sitting in this session that says, you know, I sure hope that I learn about this, we'll make sure we address it. All right, so with that being said, then it's open game for us to talk about micro-credentialing and certification. So what I'd like to do at this point is introduce our two panelists that are here today. And Linda Head is the Senior Associate and Vice Chancellor of Lone Star College. And she'll talk about their system and what they do. And then Tamala Austin is the Director of Entrepreneurial Initiatives and Community Relations for Women of Color, Houston Community College. And she does so much more too, and I got a little special surprise to tell you about with Tamala as well. So let's go ahead, Tamala, if you want to go ahead and make an introduction first.
Good morning, and special thanks to the governor and the Small Business Development Center for having us here today. I'm always excited to be a part of his initiative for small businesses. As he said, I'm Tamala Austin, the Director of Entrepreneurial Initiatives and for Women of Color at Houston Community College. Our program launched in 2021. Our program is powered by Wells Fargo. So we work with individuals from the startup phase, the ideal stage, and existing businesses to help them open their business, get started, and get funding. Some of the pain points as a small business owner and being able to help them along their process and on their journey. We have a portfolio where our students can graduate after completing our Small Business Success Series. We have our Goldman Sachs program. We also have our Mattress Max School of Selling, and then our business plan competition. So we're kind of like a fast pace because, you know, not everyone's going to a four-year college, and most of our students today are looking for something fast and quick and wanting to get certifications instead of the degree. So thank you.
Oh, that's great to know. Does anybody in this audience have like an 18-year-old to 22-year-old trying to figure out their way in life? That's me. I'm in that boat right now, and you are as well.
Yes.
But she's figured it out.
Yes.
I understand. Your daughter has. Okay, that's great. All right, Linda, how about yourself?
Hi, Linda Head. I don't know if I should keep saying this, but I've been with Lone Star College for 30 years. I don't know if it's because I can't find another job or because I'm good at what I do, but I've
But
been
you
there for a
started
long
very
time.
early. You started very young.
Yes. My responsibility is pretty broad. I have a department that creates all the degrees and certificates offered at the college, which is really quite fun. We work with employers and use a lot of data to do that. It involves certificates and micro-credentials that we're going to discuss today. We have a lot of external facing people in my area. Kay Fitzsimons is here today. Kay leads any of you alumni of Leadership North Houston, then you know Kay, and Leadership High School. If you have a kid between 15 and 18 who isn't quite sure what they want to do, you might talk to Kay. She might be able to help them. With Leadership High School, they get introduced to everything across our broad community, from the Woodlands to Acres Homes to Kingwood and Katy. Thank you for being here.
Very good. Thank you, Linda. Now, Linda, we had a chance to visit. Linda and I have known each other for a few years and had a chance to visit about this particular topic a few days ago, and then also this morning. You did some research on it as well recently. So what'd you find?
So we follow state legislation very closely, and House Bill 8 was around funding for higher education, in particular community colleges, just passed 2 weeks ago. And what's different about that is that our funding is going to be, I don't know about partially, a lot, I don't know what percentage, around students completing something, not just taking courses. And if that something has state licensure or industry recognized credential, like a Cisco networking or is it Steve, CISP or CISSP for cybersecurity? All those kinds of industry recognized certifications, the college will receive additional funding for that. It's a big milestone for us because we feel like Houston Community College, Lone Star College, we do a good job at that, and it doesn't get recognized. Yesterday, since Nick and I had talked about micro-credentialing, I contacted the Higher Ed Coordinating Board to get some definitions. So just so you know, how many of you have a bachelor's degree? That was the way it was, right? And our generation and the generation that followed me, we got a bachelor's degree. If you went on and got a master's degree and you went on and got a PhD or an EDD, weren't you something? And so not to discredit the somethings in the room, but now we're packaging the other way. Because 90% of our students are working while they go to community college. And they're working when they go to a four-year college. They're working. And so they need a job while they're going to school. And it's not just a job. They need a job that will provide them to live someplace and pay for their expenses, and that will lead to something else. And so this micro-credentialing and packaging, what the Higher Ed Coordinating Board is doing is coming up with these new names of things in terms of certificates. So we have about 5 different certificates that in our credit degree programs you can finish along the way to a 2-year degree, and even after a degree. Our biotech program has an advanced technical certificate that's on top of a bachelor degree. And so we're packaging things different. And then to go even smaller, in continuing education and non-credit, there are even smaller micro-credentials that are called different things. And we're finalizing this summer for the 50 community colleges in Texas and Texas State Technical College what those things are actually called that make sense to you. Because the dumb thing is, for 250 years, educators have been calling things what makes sense to them. So, and then they're wondering why people are having a hard time finding these things, because no one in the room knows what a micro-credential is, right? But we call it that. And so do state agencies. So we're trying to find words that make sense. And I have a question at the very end I'd like to ask to the group, Nick, because we're trying to relabel something at Lone Star College.
Oh, very good. So audience participation then for sure. All right, very good. Tamala, your thoughts on it, and interesting as your career has developed. So you worked for the largest oil companies in the world, and then the pandemic came and made a change, and now are involved in a whole new set of the way education works, and along these lines of certifications and things of that nature.
Yes. So prior to coming to the academic side, I worked in corporate America in oil and gas for over 20 years. And as Nick said, I've worked for some of the big companies such as Exxon, Repsol, Shell, Enron. And I've made my way through accounting. And doing that field was very rewarding. And then, you know, in oil and gas here in Houston, when it's good, but when it's bad, it's bad. And so you're constantly on the seesaw of going up and down. But after that, I had an opportunity while I was working in corporate America to start a business that centered around health and some health challenges that I was having, and found that to be my passion, which led me to an opportunity with Houston Community College and working with entrepreneurs, which around the time of that the pandemic was happening, you know, this is when most of the people were at home trying to discover things, finding other ways to do things. And even with some of the students being in school online, there just opened up a new window there for more people to really find out what it is that they really like to do and how could they get these businesses started. So with the working with HCC and our program funded by Wells Fargo, led to the Office of Entrepreneurial Initiatives, where we not only work with students, but we have adults that are in our program that have, you know, now want to do something different, how to start a business, how to get a business plan together, you know, to find out even if your business is ready to be vetted, do you have the right resources and tools that you need? And I'm able to share my journey with the students and participants in our program as an entrepreneur, being on that side of it too, and walking this journey as starting a business at home in my kitchen that is now a renowned product that is sold in H-E-B and Whole Foods in Houston and surrounding areas. And so I know some of the pain points as a small business owner, what it takes to be able to be in that space. And so I'm able to share my journey with our participants that come through our program, as well as insight as far as getting into the retail space. HCC has developed a program where we are able to work with key stakeholders and partnerships in our community, such as the Wells Fargo, such as Truist Bank, Wallace Bank, working with our Goldman Sachs program, working with Mattress Mac, and different other strategic partners that help us to be a part of this program.
Well, that's quite a journey, Tamala, and thank you for that, for the stories. And it's got to be just an awesome experience now to help our youth, and mainly, I guess, youth of what you're saying is kids and then young adults, and to come through and to try to figure out what to do in life. I mean, how many people in here, when they were 20 years old, 22, knew what they wanted to do the rest of their life? Anybody? There's one. We got one. We have one, two. We got three. Okay, so a very small number, right? How many are doing something totally different today than you were doing at 22 years of age? And look at that. So there you go. And I think that shows the importance of this micro-credentialing and certification process. I know for me, I started as a writer for the Lufkin Daily News. Anybody know where Lufkin, Texas is? All right, how about that? Anybody from Lufkin? Anybody? A Lufkin Panther? Were you a Lufkin Panther? Very good. No, not a Lufkin Panther. Well, that's what they do, is hold the L up. But I was very involved there in Lufkin as a newspaper writer. Then I wrote for the Houston Chronicle for a few years, and then got a job in marketing, and and got involved in tourism, and picked up a couple of certifications along the way. Certified Festivals and Events Executive with International Festivals and Events Association, and then also a tourism certification as well. And so those are the things that we do in our careers. But it seems like, Tamala, what you're saying is that when the pandemic really has changed education, And I know Linda can speak to this as well, but how have you seen that really change the dynamics in the workplace now?
I think as far as in our space as community college, we've had to become more creative, finding more creative ways to make our programs and institutions more attractive to the students today. Being able to give them, I would say, a real life experience. I mean, not just getting the education behind it, but actually being able to see it applicable and being able to apply it and those skills that they're getting to see it at work and things. You know, if I go to school and get a degree in accounting, you know, where's the real life experience for that? And being able to offer them something that doesn't take 4 years, maybe 18 months to get the certificate, I think it definitely has opened up a different space and different line for us to be in as far as the community college base.
Very good. Linda?
And another one of my responsibilities is student job placement. And we have a tool that's free to anyone that you can use to explore what the possibilities are. So we ended up using that on the front end for advising. And what's changed in advising in college is it's all online, right? You apply online. We have one Texas application. That's great. You pick the schools you want to go to, but you do all that before you ever speak to a human. And certificates allow someone to make some mistakes. You know, in a 4-year degree, if you made a mistake, you had to have a hard time in larger schools and in transferring back and forth between majors, right? You apply to a school of something, you get accepted into that school of something, and you're sort of stuck in it. Heaven forbid you go into medicine because you've put in 8 years, and then you have residency, and you know, you have to make those, you're on that path. The certificates are shorter, as Tamala is saying, and so you can come in and try something. Come in and try something that's only 6 months, 5 classes, 6 classes, a fall semester and a spring semester, or a spring semester and a couple classes in the summer, or just a continuing ed certificate or certification, so you can see if you even like it. We even have a course right now that's offered through the company that provides programming to J.P. Morgan Chase out of New York. They're looking to hire hundreds of programmers, and they can't get women and students of color into programming. It's primarily a white male world in programming. And so we're offering a class that's online, $49 or something. Do you want to be do you think you could be a programmer? So you sit there and you love computer games. Did you know that behind the computer games is programming? So you like to mess with websites. Did you know behind that is programming? You know, the programming that's involved in automated manufacturing, the programming that's involved in PLCs and AI and all the rest of it. So a certificate gets you introduced to things that you don't even know you might like. And it allows you to make a mistake or two because you don't really like it before you fully commit.
So these micros then can be anywhere from 4 months and
6
less.
weeks.
6 weeks?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah,
And that's the
yeah,
same
4
that
months
you're
less.
seeing as well?
And you'd be amazed at how many people we have with master's degrees in engineering from A&M that go into our truck driving program. Because they went into engineering, they just didn't like it. Or maybe they didn't like to be home every day, and maybe their spouse didn't want them to be home. So they get into because they've been traveling all over the world for oil and gas, right?
You're getting ready to go through that, right? Okay.
Yeah, my husband's retiring. I'm not. Maybe I'll get him into truck driving. But even truck driving, I mean, truck driving starts at a minimum at $53,000 a year. How many of your college kids are getting jobs that they're starting at $53,000 a year, plus full benefits? And they're not all long haul. You don't have to do like ice roads in the Rocky Mountains. You know, I mean, you can do back and forth to the Port of Houston, right? So you could be cybersecurity, CISP, and networking, CCNA, and truck driving, CDL, and phlebotomists are getting paid more than certified nurse aides, except now the hospitals, since COVID, and Linda Nelson's well aware of this, are looking to our certified nurse aides and to move them into acute care techs to help nurses do some of the things that they can do by law. But there's just so many opportunities, and people just don't know. And for small business, I just have to put this in so we don't forget, Texas Workforce Commission has a grant just for small business. And it's not for your part-time employees, it's for your full-time employees. Maybe now that I'm saying it out loud, Brian will take back to the governor's office and TWC that so many small businesses have part-time employees and hourly employees. It would benefit them also. But at Lone Star, Kay Fitzsimons organizes that, and they will fully fund the tuition to go into almost any course at a community college. And you could get a group of you. If you, when Steve Wright was up there, if you want to put together a non-credit course around cybersecurity that's just enough to almost be a certification, you could do that. You could send one person from each small business, put it together. Lone Star can offer it through continuing education or HCC or Zanjack or whomever, and it's free to you. So there's a lot of opportunities and a lot of money to help employees of small businesses and the CEOs of small businesses. And then also the small business development, of course. HCC offers things, and we work with the Greater Houston Women's Chamber and the Sam Houston States, small business development groups as well. Just a myriad of opportunities and training in smaller packages. Anything you want to add to that?
Thoughts on that, Tamala?
Yeah, definitely. I agree with what Linda said. There's so much information out there now, especially through that the community colleges are able to afford to our community, that you don't have to go off to the big universities. We have them, and we have them at a smaller cost and a smaller amount of your time that you have to be able to dedicate to it. So we're excited about that.
Nick, I'm going to interrupt before you
No,
jump
go
by.
ahead.
I want to give an example of something that I probably shouldn't say publicly, but those of you that know me, it
Please
never
turn off
bothered
the
me before.
recorders, right?
But one of
For
our
us.
executives at Lone Star College had a relative, a young relative, that was he's trying to figure out his way, right? In his 20s, doesn't know what he wants to do, young man and so I said, bring him to me. I'm not an advisor, it's not really my job, but I advise. I'm a mom, I'm a grandmom, and I've worked at a college. And the kid came in, and there was a certain degree program that the grandparent wanted this kid to go into. And the more I learned about the young man, I said to him, I go, is that really what you want to do? He goes, well, that's what, they're going to pay for, and, this is what we're going to do. So I pulled out our programs of study with all of our certificates and certifications, and ended up talking to him about something totally different in IT rather than in the trades of what he wanted to do. Well, I found out 2 days ago he withdrew from the classes of the other thing, and we're meeting with him to do something else. Please help those of you that you work with, your children, your grandchildren, yourselves. If you're in something you don't like, don't do it.
Yeah.
I mean, what a miserable career life, right? To be
Yeah,
in
yeah.
something you don't like.
I like that. That's
I
right.
mean,
Yep.
and give those of the people that you love around you the opportunity to say it. And
Yes.
there are so many, I mean, just at Lone Star, HCC and us have very similar programs of study and certificates. We're working together on, Mayor Turner is developing in Sunnyside by NRG the first urban solar field in the country. Urban solar field. Took an old waste dump area, and this solar field will sit on top of it. So we're training people in about 12 weeks. Enough industrial electricity and how to take those big panels, right, and install them into the ground so they'll have a neat job, and then they'll have enough electricity to continue on. They can go through a whole associate applied science in electrical to be an electrician in oil and gas, in a large manufacturing company for CenterPoint or Entergy or anyone else that deals with electricity. Those are great things to do, and it starts with a small certification.
That is some great advice. It sounds like also great advice for those of us that have kids that are trying to figure out their way through,
yes.
right? And it really is. There's so many, it sounds like to me, so many different options and opportunities of where to go. Tamala, how can we make education on entrepreneurship more visible in our communities?
Definitely. I think with Houston and the ecosystem that we have, definitely it has become one of the cities that's leading for entrepreneurship. Our Greater Houston Partnership has shown us that this is the city where businesses boom. And as the governor says, everything is big in Texas. And we are excited, about what things the opportunities that are coming for women in entrepreneurship. There are a lot of opportunities, whether you're having an idea or you're just starting or wanting to get out there. We have classes on introduction to that. And then we have like a portfolio here. So once you come in and you start the program, get exposed to starting with our Small Business Success Series, you finish that program, then you can go on to pitching through the business plan competition, where when you finish this 6-month program, you have your actual business plan in hand. And then you've already started the capacity to build relationships with banking institutions that are part of this program as well, and getting the exposure, getting used to selling your product. We work very closely with the SBA and the SBDC as our advisors. And then once you finish that, then we have our Goldman Sachs program, building your business, being in a network of other entrepreneurs that you can do business with. And then from there, you can go on and being able to actually vet your business to some of our strategic partners that we work very closely with, whether it's in the IT space, the construction space, truck driving space, you're wanting to get into the retail space. It's just a plethora of information that you can get that is available to you. And most of our program that deals with entrepreneurship, the classes are free, thanks to our partners at Wells Fargo Bank and opportunities that we get funding through the governor's office. So we definitely want to continue those relationships and getting the support of our governor to help support our program that we offer to our community.
Wow, lots of great things. Just got to take the first step for a lot of folks. Just take the first step and then navigate their way through. Brian just held up the 10. That means that we have about 10 minutes left. We wanted to save some space here for some questions. We do have a hand up right here for a question as Brian makes his way over there. And ready for some questions, Linda and Tamala? All right.
Yeah. Oh, thank y'all so much. Linda, Pam, and whoever, what's your name, whoever's just speaking?
Nick and Tamala.
Yeah, I have
Tamala,
questions, especially for Linda and Pam. This is great information. I'm an entrepreneur just starting. I'm in internet radio, podcasting, authorship, and public speaking. By any chance, the grant that you're talking about that Texas Workforce offers, is that to only certain students, or is it to anybody who's pursuing entrepreneurship? Because I'm not affiliated with HCC or anything like that. I'm just on my own, starting with myself and, of course, a great group of friends who's helping me. So I wonder if y'all could assist me in that area.
Good.
So the grant funding can help with a multitude of courses for small business. I'm trying to think of our course inventory just at our college is something like 12,000 courses. And I only know that because 9,000 of them had to move online in the month of March in 2020. So, and then the non-credit courses are about another 3,000. So business with less than 100 employees qualifies for that funding stream.
So could that funding be used however I need it to be used? Like, say, I have a support team that's helping me manage my podcasts and all that, and I'm paying them. However, I haven't really made any revenue yet. I've only been paying them because I've had a couple of great friends who've contributed to me financially. So could this grant assist me in this area, or not really?
No, it could.
It could.
You know, the state, the governor, and the legislators have funded what's called the Skills Development Fund for about 15 years, and before that in different ways, which is really for companies 100 and over. And it is customized training, and that's part of my division. We customize for that size company. For small business was meant to take classes that are in our inventory and offer that to small businesses. But in continuing education, community colleges can develop whatever's needed for the community in a very expedient manner. It takes about a year to fully develop an Associate of Applied Science degree or an AAAS degree, and we all have a couple applied bachelor's degrees. That takes about 2 years. But in continuing ed, Entergy came to us and wanted us to start line worker classes. It took no time at all after partnering with Centerpoint, and our poles got delivered on Monday. So we'll have them in the ground. So it's up to you. So podcasting or particulars about podcasting, I talk a lot, but I've never done that myself, so I'm not an expert. But yeah, we can do those kinds of things.
I tell you what, if y'all could do me a favor, if Linda and Pam, some of y'all, if y'all could come to my table, that way we can exchange contacts. That way I'll touch base with you more. That'd be great.
That sounds good. Any other questions that we have in the audience? We have Brian back over here in the back. Brian's going to get his steps in here. We'll get him to crisscross the room there.
While he's walking, I want to bring up English as a second language because we are in Texas. So just so you know, the state also funds for free training in English. And it's very prescribed, it's very organized. And then, of course, Spanish for supervisors that's organized in by different industry clusters. So,
Muy bien. All right.
Thank you for this opportunity. Please let me really appreciate the governor of Texas for this great thing I'm seeing that is going on now. And I know the panel is talking about workforce development. And I want to mention this. I am from Nigeria, but I was blessed to go to be a student at Texas Tech University. I did accounting, master's degree in accounting at Texas Tech many years ago. And I'm here now. But there is something I see. And what I see is that Texas has a very large population of the diaspora. I hope we know that word, diaspora. That's these people that have come from different countries and are settled, and they are citizens, and some are born here to parents of the diaspora. But I see a big opening which forced me to develop some training called Trade Beyond Borders. That's how can people that came from other countries reintegrate by trading with their countries. And I really find the state of Texas can single-handedly move this to work if we can get people to work on it.
So, sir, are you referring to us teaching classes in other countries or us helping people that have moved here assimilate into great careers here?
Okay, I'm talking about a training that will teach people how to trade and invest beyond borders. Border is this. We are now in the United States. We're in Texas. all these people that have come across, are they trading? Are they doing anything with their people back home? Are they creating employment here using the mass resources that the US government has provided, from Exim Bank to the rest? And then the state of Texas is also providing. So it might be difficult to understand, but it's massive that we can create these people that are coming from Nigeria, people that came in from Ghana, the 55 African countries called Sub-Sahara. And they are here, they can trade back home, they can create a working environment whereby they can invest. And the people can invest here. They can send raw material here to be processed, and machines can be shipped here to be processed. And by the way, that's how America built China. So please,
All right.
I would like the
Yes.
governor's office to please look into that. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Linda?
We have some experience in what you're speaking of. In fact, after I got off the phone with Nick Wolda on Saturday, I received a call from a gentleman in Guyana, not Ghana, Africa, but Guyana, around oil and gas training and providing welding training to train the trainer in Guyana, because the training center has now been set up. We've visited, I had someone in my division visit Ghana, Africa, around oil and gas, and consult on how to set up training labs there. We've done the same in India, in Malta, in Indonesia, and HCC certainly has in Qatar and other places. The difficulty for that for us is someone has to fund it in country. And that's a conversation for another day, Brian, I know. Sometimes the state funds it, sometimes the governor has his international economic development folks. And where it's been successful is where a wealthy person in country funds that kind of conversation and training.
Very good. Brian, is one more question, and then we'll need to wrap up because we want to
I
stay
wanted
on.
to just quickly share with
Yeah.
our colleagues from Houston Community College, because they've stated the name Goldman Sachs a couple of times. And I'm Liz Lara Carreño, along with our executive director, Dr. Burrows. And we represent the Goldman Sachs 10,000 small businesses, which is funded by the Goldman Sachs Foundation. And we have 2 site cities in Houston and Dallas. But because the demand is so high, we also have the largest number of business owners that apply to the program, because it costs them $0 to apply and $0 if they're accepted. So the 2 face-to-face cities are at Houston Community College in Houston and then in Dallas. And if you're not within a 2-hour, then you go through the program online, and then we fly you to New York, and we take care of all of the expenses. And this is for the purpose of helping businesses in growth mode through the program. And so I just wanted to clarify that it's foundation money, and that's the investment that they have made here in Texas.
Very good. Thank you very much. So a couple of final parting thoughts here. One is make sure that you know about Jive Juice, right? That's Tamala's product right there. You can find it at HEB, the produce section. That's where I'm headed after this. And Linda, you had one question for the audience that you needed some help on? And I did see one other question, Brian. I don't know if you have time for one other. There's one other right here.
Let
But
them ask.
okay. So, well, while he's one more question, and then we need to we'll stay get back onto track here.
Continuing education. What does that mean to you? I wish I had a Mentimeter up here that I could see what the words continuing education. If you were looking to get a micro-credential or a new certificate, I'd love it if you'd write on your piece of paper on your table, what would you call that? Is continuing education the right words still or not? And I'm sitting right there, so I can either come pull your piece of paper or off your table, or I just really need your thoughts. Any of you connected with big business, like Gil Staley sitting over there, has both. Does the term corporate college still mean something or no? Is that where a big business would go for training at a community college?
Very
Thank
good. So
you.
just write it down on the note and bring it over to your table if you don't mind. All right, Brian, one more question.
Yeah, my question was, you said something earlier about the 15 to 18-year-olds, that you had some type of certification while they're in school. I was curious about that. I have a 16-year-old. She has an entrepreneur mind already, but she lives in another part of, Southwest, and the Lone Star is way over here. Is there any way that she could start now? I was curious about. I didn't understand or elaborate on that.
We can talk individually offline about particulars. Dual credit at Lone Star College right now, I don't know what it is at HCC, is about 23% of our enrollments. So of course, there's always an opportunity to take any of those classes, and those around starting a business while you're in high school. I don't think parents know enough about dual credit. Our tuition is $100 a credit hour. I don't know what some of you pay, Nick Wolda, for your kids in college. It's $100 a credit hour. So you can take courses for credit, but there's also some non-credit things that kids can take, and there's also a database that they can use.
Very good. Thank you very much. I know you ladies will be here to answer any questions afterwards. Let's give them a big hand. Thank you.